All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a discussion piece with the homie Periodic. We're basically going to be discussing, pretty much how to fix Dokkan and just kind of talk about like the campaign system overall in Dokkan Battle because there's a lot of good things to it, but there's obviously a lot of negatives. And before we hop into that, Periodic, how are you doing today, man?
What up?
You're
That's
doing
it.
you're doing good. Oh, that's a good way of doing it.
We chilling, man. We straight. We good.
That's good, bro. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. So, before we start off, we'll just go over briefly over this campaign real quick, right? So in the first half of it, they really had us because we were like, okay, there's no easy A's, there's nothing going on here, the prelude, and we're all like, what's going on? And then, 12 days later, we get this campaign where we get 5 new easy A's, three of the girls, no, actually five of the girls, really, because you get
Yep.
three from the Ribrianne, Rosie, and Kakuzna, and then you have Khalifa and Kale as well coming through with Chain Battle, mind you. So we had a
Mhm.
bunch of stuff coming back here. So, Mr. Periodic, how do you feel about that current landscape of them just instead of slowly giving us stuff, with each celebration, like for example, maybe before this one, they could have given us the girls, like the easy area for the girls, to spread it out, or do you like this format of them throwing everything at once?
I'm, hmm, I'm kind of torn. This is kind of all we knew, right? Because this is how Dokkan Battle's always been. Dokkan festivals, celebrations, yada yada yada. But we're at the point now where they're just making up weird campaigns that don't really make sense. So, Merry Christmas campaign. Okay, 100% makes sense, right? It's Christmas for a lot of different, people in a lot of different countries. So, of course, we're going to have some kind of celebration pertaining to Christmas. Makes a ton of sense. Colorful Christmas, Merry Christmas, all this stuff, right? But there's some weird campaigns that they've come out with in the past that don't really have anything to do with anything at all. And they just push it out just to kind of lump stuff together. For example, what is a messy full power campaign?
A messy full power campaign.
Yes.
When was that?
So that is the that's the translation for the Japanese celebration that had it was the Golden Week celebration essentially for Gotenks and Exchange Boo, but the official translation is the messy full power campaign. I'm guessing they just couldn't think of anything better than that. It was a good campaign. It had a lot of cool stuff on
Oh
it,
yeah,
but
okay, yeah, you're right. Musty, dude, what is this? I didn't even realize that's what they named
and then
it.
their summer campaign. I mean, it's like something you would oddly tell a small child. Move well and play well. Summer Dokkan campaign is now on. Hey kids, you better move well and you better play well.
I've
What like
never
what?
realized these names before.
Yeah, so and yes, I'm obviously I'm trolling because it's like JP celebration, so obviously the you know the translation is a little funky, but even still, like some of these are very again, Halloween celebrations. Okay, we get it. Fifth anniversary, we get it. But Kale and Caulifla coming out for the Crank It Up Maximum Power campaign. What does that even mean? That's when the Kefla,
Yeah,
banner came out.
what does that mean? Crank
Crank
it
it
up,
up.
maximum power.
So, I mean, I guess the core of this discussion is going to be: should Dokkan Battle just continue these forced, contrived celebrations? And should they continue just grouping their content around arbitrary points, you know, on the calendar? Or should they split it up and have it evenly throughout the weeks, throughout the months, throughout the year?
All right, so let's go into the first bullet point there. So the getting rid of the campaigns. So campaigns is pretty much like a staple in gacha games, right? It's like their way of, pretty much organizing everything with events, with characters, and stuff like that. But in Dokkan's case, like you mentioned, a lot of these feel kind of forced, right? Like training is easy, super training campaign. What is this campaign even? What is this? It was literally okay. So we had a banner. It was Goku and Frieza, a new Dokkan event, a new story mode. Okay, we did. Okay, this was actually a lot of content. We had Ultimate Clash, Explosive
Hmm.
Chain Battle, Kid Boo's EZA, and a new event with that Frieza thing. So that was actually pretty cool. But in hindsight, did we really need a campaign called Training is Easy? Super Training Camp? Do people even care about the campaigns? I think that's the big question here. Do people care about when they see a campaign name? Do they care about the new logins that they do? Does anybody care about this?
Right,
And
special missions and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's like,
like that's cool, but how many stones are we getting from those special missions? Like 7
yeah,
typically? It's never anything substantial, and in a way, I'm trying to see Dokkan in a way without the campaigns, right? We look at it and it's like, how would they actually explore putting these events without having Be Strong Super Training campaign with who's in this one? Beerus and Whis. Literally, I think the campaigns are just there for putting these, banners together and like world tournaments and stuff like that. But in recent days, I think campaigns have actually been hurting, especially on
agreed.
global, because we look at it's called the Holy Christmas campaign, and we have a complete dead campaign here, which was the Prelude. The Prelude had
Right.
Blue Boys. What else
Yeah.
was here? And the Dokkan event and a clash with those two free to play girls. Does this warrant a campaign? Does like To me it almost does not. And other gacha games don't really do campaigns as much. Like there's a few that don't. It's mostly like the shonen ones that do this a lot because I guess it's really colorful and they think people love the artwork and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um Fate Grand Order doesn't. Fate Grand Order just drops banners on your heads and bonks you. They're like, here's a banner, here's an event, shut up. Like there's no campaigns.
Hmm.
Really. Like there's no change in login bonuses in Fate Grand Order. It's always the same. Which Dokkan, 8 months out of the year, it's the same. No, even more, 10 months technically, because they only really changed it up for Tanabata and I guess Worldwide Celebration we did get 2 stones a day, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
I
3,
think
I would say.
what Fate Grand Order does is they'll have celebrations, but they have like a summer celebration. They'll have New Year's,
Yes,
Christmas.
yes,
Like they
yes,
have the big ticket things.
yes.
If it's just like a random, June and you got nothing going on in June, they're just going to introduce their new events and not tie it to a celebration. So I think the real point that we're bringing up for discussion is should Dokkan Battle just keep their big ticket celebrations and then just screw off with naming these, silly crank it up maximum power campaign? Because what's what's starting to happen is particularly because Japan and the US or the rest of the world have different different days that they celebrate, right? So like Tanabata banner, for example, the Golden Week. The rest of the world doesn't know anything about this stuff.
Very
Like
true.
that just doesn't exist. Golden Week is called Golden Week because there's like 4 or 5 holidays that span in like a 8-day stretch. So they just take that entire week off because they're like, dude, there's so many holidays. It's just like it's kind of like if you had like if you're in the U.S. and it was like Thanksgiving and then Christmas was like a few days away and then you had another President's Day was like a 2 days after that. It's like, oh, we'll just take the whole week off, dude. Like those there's big ticket holidays right next to each other. So but that's not something that we get. So global has to make up something to have those huge campaigns and have those huge things and try to make it feel like it means something on the global side. But what ends up happening is they start chopping up the content and they'll put a lot of it in some celebrations and put the rest in other. For example, this Crank It Up Maximum Power campaign is a great example because it's got a login bonus, it's got special missions. Okay, we already understand that, right? Dragonstones, whatever. Kefla banner, cool. Rapid growth banner, who cares? Elder Kai banner, who cares? New Dokkan event. This is the campaign that introduced the skill orbs exclusive for Universe 6.
Yes, yes.
This also had new stages for Infinite Dragon Ball history, which were like the Universal Survival Saga stuff. It had a
Yes.
new
The
virtual
World
clash. Yep. Some story events came back, right? But here's where things get very weird. It came out with the physical characters banner that had the physical Gohan on it. And then it introduced the new story event, the most fearsome Majin, with the Ultimate Gohan and the Buu.
Yeah.
Why is that weird? Because that was supposed to come out during the Tech Gohan celebration. So instead, we got Tech Gohan event, and then they also came out with a World Tournament Reborn. It was the reopening, so you can get stones from it. So they came out with two big story events that were Majin Buu Saga during a Strength Kefla banner. Like, that doesn't even make sense. But it's because they had other content planned. They had to chop it up in a way to make sense and not have everything in just one celebration. But they kind of screwed themselves in that way.
Yeah.
Because then, when we actually did get the Tech Gohan celebration, people thought it was dead. Everyone was mad about it. People were pissed.
Yeah.
There was no content. But it's like, of course there isn't if you're taking content from that celebration and putting it into another.
And you know
Because
what?
you
Where that
made
happened
up-
with two? The worldwide celebration.
Of course.
Because you know what they did with the worldwide celebration? They did the stupid idea of putting all the content in the countdown.
Right.
The worldwide celebration. Like, that was so silly. Part one had nothing, and they put all the content into the first week, which wasn't even where the banners dropped.
Yeah. And I was telling people that the entire time. I'm like, if you look at the worldwide celebration overall, you have to include the countdown, because
The countdowns
part
were
one was not actually part one. The countdown was part one.
Yeah,
And
you had a
part
new chain
two
battle.
and three, part 2 and 3 should have just been part 2. Or part 1 and 2 should have just been part 2.
Yeah, these three
Countdown should have
parts
been part
aren't
one.
working for Dokkan. Just
And
period. I don't think
It's the
three
same
parts
thing
work.
with this Christmas celebration. The prelude was a joke. Like,
Like, what is
they
it there
looked
for?
they looked at what they did with worldwide celebration, and they were like, "Oh, people didn't really like that. Let's just take everything out except for the banners, and then we'll start adding stuff in." But it's like, if you're gonna have the prelude, at least have just something in
Like
there
an
besides a way
EZA,
for us
or
because
Dragon Ball History, or
can't
Super
just
Battle
expect-
Road.
like, I'm just trying to think of from a money making perspective, right? Because I always like to look at the business side of things. So, your idea is to drop a brand new banner, LR Blue Boys. Very hype unit, by the way. Banners, meh, but hype unit. Gorgeous animations, very strong card.
Yeah.
And you're putting them on the countdown to a celebration. Okay? Countdown to a celebration. You're not putting very good stone sales there. Not many at all.
No.
And you're making it so people have a very hard time to accumulate stones if they're not planning on spending a lot of money. Now, what happens is if you are able to accumulate enough stones to do one or two multis and you don't get them, and you're someone who spends money on the game, you're going to be inclined to try to, spend money to get more stones so you can actually try to get the character. If you're in a prelude celebration and there's no way to make stones and the sales are garbage and maybe you've already spent,
Yeah, what are you gonna
No.
do?
you're just
then-
not going to
And
play.
then they drop Gohan as well after the fact. So imagine, like
which
you just
also
said,
came out of nowhere.
yeah. So like imagine they just dropped Blue Boys on you, which is a super hype moment. Bad stone sales, no content for you to farm stones, literally like none. Because of what the prelude just had the story event. So what it was like
Yeah.
2 Dragon Stones, the 4 from 2 from the Dokkan event, 4 from the story. Like, it was horrible. And then you're gonna tell me 2 weeks later when people are like, okay, we're gonna get content now, so now we're gonna be able to get the Blue Boys.
Mhm.
No, then they drop LR Super Saiyan 2 Gohan
Yeah.
with, I promise you here, 50 dragon stones to farm up. That was the
Yep.
extent of what they gave us to celebration. One multi for Gohan. So imagine all the
Yeah.
people who were hoping that with they're gonna do this for Blue Boys, and now they have to skip Blue Boys and summon on a banner that doesn't have not the greatest value. Because unfortunately, I have to say this: Blue Boys is a far better banner in terms of a newer player or
Oh, for
getting
sure. You're
Beerus or
getting
Go Bros, and
and
you
you're
have a
getting
better
red coins as
chance.
opposed
Yeah,
to
and you're
blue
getting red
coins.
coins.
Yeah,
And
that's
this to
that's yeah.
me was just a terrible, terrible play on Dokkan's part. I'm like almost a little disappointed in Dokkan for
Yeah,
doing
same,
that
same, same.
because it just hurts free to play players. It's like, what do you want? Like, you want people, they're just trying to make everybody spend money. That's all they're trying to do. It's like they want everybody to be spending money consistently, constantly. But it's like, this isn't okay, man. They can't be
I
doing
would say
that.
this though. I'll agree with you, but I'll look on it on the other end. It hurts pay to play players because at the end of the day, we always talk about free to play players, right? But
True.
what we really have to talk about is the base of the player base that actually keeps the game going, which is people that buy stones. That's just the truth. There are no advertisements in Dokkan Battle. They have no other ways to make revenue besides you buying their in game currency. That is it. There's a subscription service that you can pay for, and then you can buy Dragon Stones. So, this is also bad for the pay to play player because what ends up happening is if you are someone who spends money in the game, you're doing it because you see a value in it. I value not having to spend a billion years grinding up stones or waiting to accumulate enough stones in a free manner. So I'm going to pay to get a bunch of stones and then summon, right?
Yeah.
But if the amount is not worth it to me, then I'm not going to spend money. So what Dokkan has to do is convince me and help me along. So if they can meet me halfway, they give me these dragon stones. They put a sale. They do whatever they can do to convince me like, "Hey, you know what? This is actually a deal. I'm losing money if I don't spend it on these stones."
Yeah.
Then congratulations, they're going to get you to summon on banners. But what you can't do, which is what they did with this Blue Boys banner, hence why it went top grossing in one country, Luxembourg, and like I don't even know what the second most top grossing. I was gonna say a joke, but I'm not gonna say it in case you have viewers from Luxembourg. But it's like you have to be able to, nudge someone along to buy stones. You can't just say, "Well, your only option is to buy stones," because then it's
Yeah.
like, "All right, screw you. I'm not gonna buy stones then." You know what I mean? That can't be the only resort. It has to. You have to, in a way, convince the player that it's their great idea to buy stones. You can't say it's your only choice because then people will feel like they're being screwed over and won't buy stones. And that's why Blue Boys, on global at least, didn't do well.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's like, here's the thing with me too. And I said this on while I was doing my summons, because everybody's like, "Oh, dude, just buy stones and stuff." But I'm like, look, I don't want to buy stones in a game that I'm not happy with. Buying the two $8 packs irks me because I'm like, I'm feeding into something I'm not agreeing with. I don't like how they're running Dokkan. I don't like how they're not giving us content for stones. I don't like that because the beauty of Dokkan was how free to play friendly Dokkan Battle is, not because they're money hungry scoundrels, which is what
Right.
Dokkan has becoming into, especially the global side of things. Like they don't care about the players, they just want the money. Which in hindsight, yes, I understand that because it's a gotcha game. Businesses need money, but businesses also need to take care of the consumer. And Dokkan's not taking care of this consumer by doing this. This is horrendous, dude. They have slowed down on stones for global NJP for so long now. You look at the fourth year, and it was like it was like not a night and day difference.
Mm-hmm.
This year, they just said, forget the content. We're not giving it 50 dragon stones, dude,
Yeah,
for
I'm looking at
two
the
banners.
the Blue Boys on JP hit first place in the Japanese App Store. They got 30 stones.
Yes, they did.
So it's like I don't even know if global even got to like top 5 in like the USA or Canada or anything like that for our Blue Boys banner. So it's just
Yeah.
like, you know, and this isn't saying like JP doesn't do their own mistakes because JP definitely has their own issues, but I think global is like the format is not working anymore for campaigns. Also, like one of the things that global had over JP was that we can predict stuff, right?
And
We
now
knew what was
we
coming down
can't.
the road.
We have like no idea what they're doing.
But what's even worse is it's fine if we can't predict stuff because new stuff is coming out all the time. But what's worse is we can't predict stuff because they're purposely holding it back. So, case in point being the Kale and Caulifla. Case in point being the what's it called? That Super Saiyan Goku event that so many people were talking about because they pull LR Spirit Bomb Goku
Yeah, why did
and
they wait so long to bring that back?
dude, almost 9 months. Why? What were you waiting for some particular story event? Because you know, I'm gonna clue you in on a little thing. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan has nothing to do with the Android movie.
Nothing.
Like you- now you decide to bring him in next to the Blue Boys banner? Like what is happening here? This that doesn't really make sense. It's just um they held it back on purpose for whatever reason. I don't know why. So they're starting to get more into the habit of doing this, which I'm not a big fan of. So if you are going to do something like this, then just catch up. Just make it so JP and Global are on the same timeline, and that's fine. If not, then just keep that artificial 5 month gap, 6 month gap. And well, it's February, and we get ours in what, the middle of July. So it's a 5 month gap essentially, almost 6 months, and just keep it rocking, bro. You just keep it that way because this whole switching stuff up just to switch it up,
It's annoying.
and
And
it's
annoys the
starting to get
players.
frustrating.
It is. It is. You know, at the last three celebrations, four celebrations on Global have just been asinine, dude. It's just hot. It's awful how they're handling us. It's bad management. They're killing their own game by the way they're functioning right now.
Yeah, and
LRC, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I will say that overall, if you count the countdown, part one and part two of the worldwide celebration, overall it was comparable to last year's 350 million download celebration. The problem is
How they
the way
distribute the
again that
content.
it's marketed. Yeah, is that it's like you went so top heavy in the countdown that people forget and they're thinking, okay, here's the big stuff coming in part one. And then there's less stuff in part one than there was in the countdown. Now, again, if you add it all up, countdown part one, part two, it was very, very similar. I think almost to like the number of events and very similar, like only a few, like dozen stones or whatever stone count from the year before to this year, whatever. But again, last year's was over a shorter period of time. They stretched it out for this year, and I think that's what really ticked people off. Just the way
It's
that they went
true.
about it.
It's true. And they need that's the okay, so to come to our final point, the
Mm.
distribution of content in Dokkan, and especially on global, has to stop. This whole idea of throwing all the eggs in one basket type of thing that they've been constantly been doing. They did it for heroes, right? For the heroes content, they threw not only the heroes, but then they threw part two of that celebration at the same exact time. There's tons of content. What was the
Right.
content in part one of the thank you
Yeah.
celebration? There was none. There was nothing to do. We were all bored. And
Hmm.
then you're gonna tell me in part two, you guys are just gonna go crazy? Like they need to stop with that because for one, it's annoying for content creators. You know, obviously they might not care too much about us, but in terms of overall keeping your players engaged, all they're doing is getting players to be engaged all at once instead of trying to get them engaged all the time, right? And
Well,
it's like they
to
can't be
actually
doing
to
that.
actually piggyback off that point real fast, because you did just make a great point. If we're imagine how bottom of the barrel you're scratching if we're struggling to come up with an idea to make for a video. Imagine what the average player is feeling who is playing the game just like us, but they have so little to do. Like, we at least, if we're feeling frustrated that there's not a lot of content, you know, and we're like, our job is to make content, imagine the person that's just playing the game, that's not trying to look for the most obscure thing that can you can figure something out like, okay, I could actually do something with this little thing over here. It's not that interesting, but it's something. The
Yeah.
normal player is not gonna they're not going to make a showcase video about a
And how
bacteria man.
yeah, and how much fun do they have after running Super Saiyan 3 Broly in an event? How much fun
Right,
do they have
it's
running the Super Saiyan 4s in an event?
yeah, ain't no one gonna be doing the dumb stuff that we do sometimes of like, oh, here's this showcase
Oh, here's
on
this Gohan only video. Oh, here's this Goku
yeah,
only video. Here's
exactly.
Vegeta
And
only. People
no
aren't
one's
doing
doing that.
that. No.
So that's like that's something that's entertaining for us because we're showing it off. But the average player is not going to do that. So it's like, what are you doing for the average player?
They don't
If
care. It's almost like they almost don't care.
so, it's I think they just have to I don't know, keep the big celebrations, right? That's always hype. Christmas, Halloween, the fifth anniversary, blah blah blah, right? Big stuff. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But I think what they should do is, and again, I would love, love, love to be able to peel the curtain back and see the behind the scenes on Bandai Namco and Akatsuki and see like what their timetables are. How far do they plan out? What are the assets looking like? What are the
Well,
engineers
it's
on,
funny
et
that you just
cetera, et
say how
cetera.
funny they plan out because I said this on a stream. I was talking about it because everybody's like, "Why do you think they took so long with killing Khalifa?" And I was like, "Guys, because they knew 6 months ago Global was gonna get killing Khalifa at the same time, not Gohan at the same time because they needed something for the stupid little Gohan celebration that they decided to add on us. If
Hmm.
Gohan wasn't coming, they would have come at the proper time, and we would have gotten
Yeah.
Jiren now on December
Yep.
14th instead of this Gohan. So because they decided, oh, you know what, let's give Global and JP this LR banner. Let's hold back Kale and Khalifa's EZA for 6 months and give them in December. But now we have to also wait for Topo and Dips EZA to come
So
because now we
that
have
would
to wait for Jiren.
also creates the question of how long did they have Gohan in the works? Was it something like, okay, these girls got their EZAs in what they got them in April, I think,
It was
something like that
April.
on Japan.
So we should have got them
So
in June technically, and then they decided to just push them back
so
for
let's just
this
say
random celebration.
they were like, we're gonna do it in November because of the Tanabata, right?
Which would
Like
have made more sense.
or the Strength Kefla came out when did she come out? July, I think,
And did Tenabata even
or
have an
June.
EZA? Oh yeah, it had Super Saiyan
Yeah,
3 Broly in the part 2. It did, it did.
but yeah, let's just say like they were saving it for Strength Kefla, right? Maybe they started working on Gohan at that point, and they were like, hey, you know what? Gohan could come out after November for our what's it called our crossover campaign that we have planned because that they have probably planned for a long time,
Yeah, they
and they
did.
were
They had
like,
this planned, and then why couldn't they do this for New Year's? Why couldn't they do this for the 6 year anniversary? Why
yeah,
this random Super Saiyan 2 Gohan banner, bro? Why this was thing?
yeah, RKO out of nowhere, baby.
They could not do New Year's. They couldn't do 6 year. They can't just align us for the same annual celebration so we could all just celebrate together on the 6th and set up
So would you be fine if they took this celebration stuff, right?
yeah.
So if I go to like current Japan campaign, of course it's only going to show. Okay, if I go to current global campaign, right, and I take a look at some of this stuff. Let's just say all of this stuff came out during a random March. Okay, we have login bonus, we have special missions, We have Dokkan Festival, Dokkan Festival, Dokkan Festival. If all of this stuff, chain battle, story event, etc., just came out, instead of all on the same day, maybe um, we started off the month with the Red Dragon Stone, right? By the end of the week, we got the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan banner, and then we got the EZA battle on the 7th, and then the 14th, the Extreme Z area battle came out, and I don't know, some new events reopened, and then on the 3rd week we got Explosive Chain battle. Like, would that be better or worse than just having everything drop in the middle of the month? I
So,
guess this is for 2 weeks, so it would be more of like, it wouldn't be stretched over 4 weeks; it would be stretched over 2 weeks.
well, technically,
But
that's how they used to do it, right? They used
yeah,
to usually throw the EZA in like the second part of everything, and then they would give us like the story event, and then um, what they
yeah.
could have,
Instead
what,
of dropping
yeah.
everything on the day, like the middle of like this dropped the 14th. So instead of everything dropping on the 14th, how would it feel if like everything dropped like every other day or every 3 days or whatever?
I think that would be better almost. Or if they don't even want to do that, right? Maybe they don't want to do that. What they could have done, right? They do part one, they dropped nothing. Literally, there's no content part one besides the story mode. So what they could have done is drop the story mode and the EZA area. Just drop those two things together. It makes no sense to time gate that aspect. So they could have just put those two, the story event and then the EZA area together. And then part two comes around, then you get the EZA and then chain battle. And there's your 2 weeks. Like as long as
Yeah.
there's something to do in each event, it's better than nothing, right? As even if it's just two little things, it's better than what we had because we literally had two new stages for that story event, and then we were out. It took like 10 seconds to farm these girls up, and that's it. And then you're back to farming links. If they would have at least had the EZA area, people would have been more excited because guess what? Everybody showcasing that I saw of these EZA girls got nothing
Hmm.
because everybody's hype was already dead.
Yeah.
Nobody cared when it dropped because everybody was already sour about it. So if they came out, and that's the thing too, right? If these girls came out before, Kale and Khalifa, people would have talked about it more on global. They would have been like, oh, Ribrianne and Rosie just got their EZAs. This is interesting. Like, I'm going to play with them more. But no, they decided to drop them with two better units that are better, much more worth their time, that are far superior, obviously. And you kind of even forget about the girls. Nobody cares about
Hmm.
the girls anymore. They just care about Khalifa and Kale, and that's a wasted that's a wasted event right there. Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
So if they would have dropped this sooner and kept these two EZAs away from each other, it's just a week apart. Like I'm not saying, hey, drop one EZA area a month or one EZA a month. I'm just saying every week, change it up a bit. Have one EZA
Yeah.
area, have an EZA, and just kind of keep swapping, bro. But how they did it and how they've been continuously doing this over and over and over of just throwing up content all at once, it takes away from things.
Yeah,
And
and then
that's the
going long
issue.
stretches of time without new content, it makes it feel even worse.
Yeah, no, they're killing their own. Like Dokkan is really killing their own player base. Nobody else.
Hmm.
Nobody else is doing this, but besides them, nobody's asking for them to do this, right? They decided to do this new mode of just throwing everything, which, now we're gonna probably hit that last point, which I think we both agree. Them throwing up everything at the same time is not really healthy for a game because it doesn't give each mode its time in the spotlight. you know, Kale and Khalifa's EZA is supposed to take you 4 or 5 days, and we cleared in an hour, right? Um, let's say, and that's typically for content creators, but the thing is, people follow what content creators do. So when we do our live streams, we finish everything then and there.
Yeah.
If they spread that out, like when I did my live, dude, I took 35 minutes doing the easy area for Kale and Khalifa. Then when I the normal easy, and then when I got to the girls, the second I finished it, I finished it in 5 minutes. I was like, okay, this is over. Bye. Right? We
Hmm.
finished. And to the other players that are watching us, it's not just me, it's like Toon, Tiger, all of us do it. They're like, oh, well, this event sucks. The content
Yeah.
creators aren't doing this. They're not spending their time on it, so I'm not either, because a lot of people follow what the content creators do. To be fair, we've all done the same thing, right? Before we started making content, I would watch Truth, whatever Truth did. I was like, oh, let me make sure I'm getting everything done. So when they watch us blast through all this content, it's not healthy for the game either. But at the same time, it's not our fault. Dokkan does this to themselves. So they're
Yep.
messing up content creators, they're messing up daily Dokkan players, and they're just messing up their own rhythm. They are really screwing their own algorithm here, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate at this point that I think it might be just a symptom of, that grinding type of game where one of the, income methods was to get people to spend Dragon Stones to refresh
Yep.
and, continuously have people refresh their stamina over and over again and waste money that way. And so that's why they would put a bunch of content out in one day. So then people were like, oh, I got to get to it. I got to get to it. I got to refresh my stamina.
But
Keep
then it
going,
takes
keep
you
going, keep
five
going.
stones to do everything, anyways.
Yeah. But with that said, there's really no need for that anymore because now you have the link level system and you're going to be, refreshing your stamina anyway. That kind of replaces that need. So now stretch stuff out in the same time frame and it makes it it just feels more hype. It's like, okay, I did this today, but this thing's coming out tomorrow. Can't wait for that. Or this thing is coming out in 3 days. I gotta prep for it. Blah 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 blah. As opposed to, oh, it's all here. I'll get to it when I get to it, kind of thing.
Yep. Yep.
Or you spend 8 hours grinding the day one, you're done, and then you're like, oh, no content. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah. Yep. No, I completely agree, man. I completely agree. Well, we definitely hit up all the points I want to hit up. We're actually at 36 minutes. That's very impressive.
Okay.
Very cool. That's good time. That's good time. So I think we both agree that Dokkan is not really in a healthy spot. There's other videos I want to make in the future, so I'll definitely be hitting you up to talk more about those because there's other aspects I think that you could actually, this video was, pointing out all the things that are ruining Dokkan, but at some point I would like to make a video talking about what we could do, like if we were in Bandai shoes, how we would fix Dokkan is a video I
Yeah.
would like to do because again, if I'm gonna give him criticism, I want to give him criticism and also give him advice, right? That's kind of like how it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't like beating a dead horse down. Like, yeah, I'm gonna critique you on your stuff, but it doesn't mean I'm not gonna try helping. So I would like to, definitely set up a video like that at some point. And guys, if you guys would be interested in that, definitely let us know. This would be a good video for you to drop your comments below. Let us know what you want different from Dokkan, and then maybe we could make a follow-up one to this one, kind of talking about different aspects that not only you guys want, but what we want as well, right? So that's a big thing. So Periodic, do you have any closing statements, my friend?
I still want that Gohan. I don't know if I'm gonna go back in though.
All right, yeah, I hope you get him. Everybody in the chat, make sure to give Periodic tons of love over on his channel and, spam him, harass him to get this Gohan, all that goodness. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody, and peace out.